Hi, I want to show you a bit about how HTTP works, and I'm going to do it using command line tools. If you've got a Linux system, you can type along with me, which I'd encourage you to do. If you're on Windows, you can also do that if you install Git Bash, and I'm showing on the screen the download link. So welcome back if you've just installed that. So I've got a command set up here, and it's got set up an HTTP request. It's got a get and a host header saying who it's going to go to, and after sending it we'll take a delay so we're not dropping the line before the response, and we're piping all that into the telnet command, which will make a network connection to my favourite search engine, and it'll do it on port 80, which is the standard port for HTTP. So let's fire that off, and a whole bunch of stuff came back. A bit more than we can look at. So let's change that GET request and put in another verb. Head asks for the metadata but not the content. So here we see the first part of the response that was off screen last time, and it begins by saying the status is 200, which means OK, it means a successful operation. It says that the content of the response was HTML. That's content in that format is called a MIME type, and we'll see some others in the course of this session. And it tells us when it goes out of date, which in fact is right now. They're proposing to us that we don't get a copy. If we want to see it again, they'd like us to go and get a fresh copy. So next, let's try that with a different search engine. So here we are ready to go, and we get a different response. I sent that to google.com, and the response 302 is a redirect. They've sent us the location where the content we want is actually to be found, and because I'm in the UK, they've sent us the link to google.co.uk. But in that query string you can see some extra payload. They've already started to track us, which is why I do most of my searching with DuckDuckGo. So all that was done with telnet. Telnet doesn't speak transport layer security, so let's have another go using openssh to make a secure connection. So here is it ready to go, and I only want to look at the heads of the reply. So here we see some information about the certificate, which is how they knew it was secure. It was from DigiCert. It was for DuckDuckGo. It was signed with a certificate from DigiCert, which was signed with DigiCert's root certificate. And we've got some other headers here. So whatever the transport layer, HTTP works much the same way. Now let's have a look. From now on we'll do this an easier way. Curl generates a lot of those lines for us. So if we use the curl command, there's a little less work to do. And now let's have a look at my homepage on GitHub. And again, I'm just taking the first bit of it. We get that curl gives us that progress meter. Actually right now that's not so useful, so I'll use some command flags to suppress it from now on. And here we see the start of an HTML page about me. It's a bit of a long page, although there's not so much of interest in it. So let's do that again, but send a header saying that we prefer to see it as a feed. There I'm sending an accept header asking for the atom format. And here's the reply. Ready for use in a feed reader. Now, GitHub also offers a URL for viewing information about the current user. So let's see what happens if we visit that. I'm just selecting the status line, and this time we get a status 401. If you're not logged in, there is no current user, so you're not authorized to see details about the current user. Now, I'm not intending to show you my password, so if you have a GitHub account, what I suggest you do is this. And then using that curl passwords file, you can keep along with me here. So welcome back if you've just done that. By the way, most commands, to make them quiet, the flag option is -q. With curl, -q means something different. So you'll see I'm not doing it that way. And let's just have a look at the content type header that we get back. Now the metadata, it's put on standard error, so we haven't seen that. So that we get that even so. And here's the content type, which is application JSON. So let's do that again, but looking at the first part of the output, and there you see some information about my GitHub account, most particularly a series of other URLs where you can make other inquiries. And so in particular, let's have a look at that at the comments. That have been put onto my gists. And I got that wrong because we got a 404 response, which means not found. So let's have another look at that URL. This is what I should have written. Let's try that. And there we see a comments URL for making comments on one of my gists. So far we've only been doing read-only operations. Let's go for a different verb, post. So get is asking for a representation of a resource. Post is designed for creating a new resource. So we're asking to create a comment, and you'll see the body of it is rather short. It says brief comment, and this is going with my credentials from the curl passwords file. So a post is writing to the server, and it's an important rule for security that you never update anything using a get, which the wise people at GitHub have done. So we've now made a new comment. Let's now do a get to look at all the comments, and you'll see that that was a JSON array. That's what those square brackets mean, but in fact only with one entry at the time I'm doing this. Do feel free to leave comments if you've got anything any suggestions for improving this. So with a bit of bash foo, we can extract from that the URL of the last comment, the one we've just posted. Now I'm assuming here that no one else has gotten in the last couple of minutes. And let's check that we got that right. That certainly looks plausible. So let's use another of the HTTP verbs to delete that rather useless comment again. And if we now go back and have a look at the comments, it's an empty list. So there you've seen some of the fundamentals of how HTTP operates. Now another time I'd like to show you how you can do that stuff from JavaScript, because today among the most important programmatic HTTP clients are JavaScript functions that are running in a user's browser. An understanding of HTTP is the most fundamental skill needed from a web developer, and I would urge you to have a bookmark to the standards. The original RFC was 2016, but this is the latest version. The changes are not very big, but there are some clarifications as well as some small improvements. And if you'd like a chance to check whether you've absorbed what I've tried to present, whether I've communicated this successfully to you, there's a multiple choice test which you're welcome to have a go at. Which is there. So, thanks for your time this evening.